Enigma renderings, where stories whisper through shadows.
Greetings, listeners of the unseen, and welcome back to Enigma Renderings, where stories whisper through shadows. For those learning English, let this be your companion, where language immerses you through sound, tension, and silence. You're listening to Enigma Renderings, your home for cinematic storytelling in English. Our journey began with a single idea: to breathe new life into timeless tales. Stories that once lived in Bengal, Tamil, Hindi, and many other tongues, carried into English with voice, emotion, and atmosphere. Stories are not bound to language. They travel, they transform, yet their soul remains. Tonight, once again, we return to Bengal, not to palaces of fantasy, not to distant stars, but to a house left standing when everyone else had gone. Tonight, we step into the imagination of Hemendra Kumar Roy, one of Bengal's most celebrated masters of mystery and psychological unease. A writer who understood that fear does not always scream. Sometimes it waits. This is a story of emptiness, of silence that listens, of rooms that remember. A house stands at the edge of the city, uninhabited, uncleaned, untouched for years. But emptiness is a dangerous word, for sometimes what appears empty is merely unseen. Tonight's tale is The Uninhabited House, a quiet narrative of footsteps without walkers, of breath without a body, of light that refuses to obey. This is not a story of shrieking ghosts, nor of shadows leaping from walls. It is the story of something subtler, something that does not reveal itself, but lets you feel it. So, dim the lights. Let the room grow still. Slow your breathing. Allow the night to settle around you. Sit back, wear your headphones, and listen closely to Hemendra Kumar Roy's unsettling tale, The Uninhabited House.
I like the house. I am not a man to fear false terrors, and I possess a gun. But what rent, do you ask? The landlord said,
Only 50 rupees. Once I received 125 for this house. But times are bad. And besides, I wish to restore its reputation. For now, even 50 will satisfy me.
Agreed. I noticed the landlord released a long breath of relief. Whether the rent was small did not matter. What mattered was that, at last, someone had agreed to inhabit this abandoned and forsaken house. The man himself was skeletal, little more than bone and skin. As he spoke, he wheezed constantly, like one long afflicted with asthma. Yet his eyes were unnaturally bright. At a sudden glance, they seemed almost aflame.
Then it is decided. Take the keys. The house house is yours now, in every sense.
He placed the bunch of keys into my hand. His stick struck the ground. And then he was gone. I felt an inexplicable relief. His presence had disturbed me, as though he were the herald of some future calamity. Until recently, my place of work had been in Bihar. Now, quite suddenly, I had been transferred to Calcutta. I left my family in Bihar for the time being. With my Bihari servant, Ram, I came to Calcutta in search of a residence. At last, I found a house to my liking. A proper 2-storied building, 4 rooms below, 2 above, and beyond them, a kitchen and a storeroom. In our household, there are but 3, my wife and our 2 small children. This house would suit us well. They say the communal riots reached their worst fury here. Some who lived in this house were killed. Others fled and never returned. Since then, the house has remained uninhabited. The house stands at the outskirts of the city. Around it once lay several slums. During the riots, fighting, looting, fire, those settlements were nearly erased from existence. Even today, no one lives there. Only silent ruins remain. One must walk nearly half a mile before seeing another human face. Yet I paid little heed to that. I am by nature a solitary man. Neighbors often prove more troublesome than useful. Ram Sahai, like many Biharis, spoke Bengali quite well. I call him Ram. Ram, for today, clean the upper floor. Before evening falls, we shall bring our belongings and spend the night here.
As you command, Hazur.
I began to wonder, why had the landlord's bright eyes flared even brighter when I agreed to rent the house? Was it joy? Or some other mysterious cause? I received the answer that very night. As I have said, there are only 2 rooms on the upper floor. One faces west, the other faces south. Both are spacious. By the time we settled in, dusk was descending. I resolved that the southern room would be most suitable for the worship of sleep. A deserted locality, a solitary evening, a silent house. Our own footsteps echoed through the emptiness, as though others walked in step with us. The house had stood hollow for years. Such illusions are natural in an abandoned ruin. I tried to erase this false impression from my mind, but I could not. Again and again it seemed we were not alone here. Others had a presence within these walls, invisible still, yet capable of becoming visible at any moment. Such notions are meaningless. I am not a coward. I do not believe in ghosts. I have heard ghost stories, but I have never seen one. nor do I believe I ever shall. Perhaps certain places, certain hours, work upon the human mind. The impossible begins to feel possible. Upon entering the chosen room, I encountered my first difficulty. The moment I opened the southern window, a stench struck me. The odor of something rotting, like a decomposing corpse. Covering my nose with cloth, I leaned out of the window. Below lay a stagnant pit filled with foul water. Beyond it, a stretch of land, and upon that land, the shattered remains of a slum. Broken, ravaged, deserted. No sign of life anywhere.
Ram! There must be a dead dog or cat rotting by that pit. In this terrible summer heat, we cannot keep the southern window closed. Let us move to the western room.
Yes, let us.
The western room had less air, but no stench. Yet another problem arose. No matter how many times I pressed the switch, the light would not come on. Somewhere, the electric wiring had failed. With no other option, I said, "Ram, go to the market and buy a lamp. We shall somehow endure tonight. Tomorrow morning, we will examine the situation and make arrangements." After extinguishing the lamp, with an inexplicable uneasiness stirring in my mind, I lay down. At last, I fell asleep. Yet even in that half-slumber, it seemed as though someone moved silently within the room. I do not know how long later, my sleep broke suddenly. Upon my face fell a stream of hot breath. Was I still dreaming? But in the next instant, I felt it clearly, beside me, pressed against my body, lay another living form. Soft, furry, warm. I could distinctly hear its breathing. Along with it came a bestial odor.
I sprang upright, leapt from the bed in a single bound, and in the very next instant, the electric light flared on. Yet the light did not astonish me. My eyes were drawn first to the bed. Who lay there? What lay there?
But there was no one on the bed. Not only upon the bed, my widened eyes swept the entire room. Every corner, every shadow. And yet, I discovered nothing. Nothing suspicious. Nothing dreadful. Was it an illusion? A nightmare? But if so, why had the light, which refused to burn despite repeated efforts, suddenly flared alive on its own? I stepped forward. I pressed the switch down. Earlier, I could not make it glow. Now, I could not extinguish it. Everything was abnormal. I rushed to the door. "Ram! Ram!" He had been sleeping outside on the veranda. At my cry, he came running inside.
Ram! Who was lying on my bed just now? And look! The light in the room has turned on by itself!
Ram Sahai stared at me, wide-eyed, motionless, like a dumb statue. Whether he was more frightened or more bewildered, I could not tell. I looked again at the bed, and my chest thudded violently.
What now? Upon the white bedsheet were several muddy footprints. They resembled the paw marks of a cat, but far larger. I swear, half a minute ago, those marks were not there.
Azor! Come outside.
I did not hesitate. I stepped out of the room, out of the house. The remainder of the night we spent upon the roadside veranda, waiting for dawn. In the morning, I met the landlord. I told him everything.
You were frightened without cause. A civet must have entered the room. There are civets near the pit beside the house.
But how did it enter a closed room?
Through the window.
Can a civet leap from the ground floor to the second?
If it reached the second floor, then clearly it can.
Very well. But if the animal was not in the room, how did its footprints appear upon the bed?
You must have been mistaken. The marks were already there.
And the electric light?
Fault in the wiring. Such things happen. Sometimes the fan runs, sometimes the light glows by itself. I shall arrange everything today. You need not worry.
I see. The landlord is never at a loss for explanations. I smiled faintly. No, I have no worries now. From today, I shall begin searching for another house.
And so, the night withdraws, not with certainty, but with a question. Because some houses are not empty, they are simply unattended. The uninhabited house is not merely a tale of fear. It is a tale of presence, of silence that listens, of footsteps that arrive after we are certain we are alone. It is a story of isolation, of doubt, and of the fragile line between reason and what refuses to be explained. You have been listening to Enigma Renderings, a place where forgotten stories return, where language is learned through atmosphere, and where silence speaks as loudly as words. Until next time, dim the lights, listen to the quiet, and do not trust the comfort of empty rooms, because some houses are never truly uninhabited. They wait. Good night from Enigma Renderings,
where stories whisper through shadows.